Office at Work allows you to pre-consent to the permissions required by the Office at Work apps, eliminating the need for each individual user in your organization to perform this step manually while using the apps. We highly recommend pre-consenting to all Office at Work apps you are using before your users start to use them. This will help prevent confusion among your users and save your IT help desk a lot of work. Before we begin providing consent, let's first understand the types of permissions Microsoft offers. There are app permissions, which allow the app to access and manipulate your data without any user involvement. And there are delegated permissions, which permit the app to access and manipulate only the data accessible to the user who is signed into the Office at Work app. With delegated permissions, the app cannot access or manipulate any data beyond what the signed-in user has permission to see. This is why Office at Work exclusively uses delegated permissions for all Office at Work applications. Please note that pre-consenting to the delegated permissions for the Office at Work app requires a Microsoft 365 administrator capable of pre-consenting permissions. Typically, your Microsoft 365 Global Administrator would have this capability. This is because our pre-consent flow utilizes the Azure Admin Permission Flow, which necessitates a Microsoft 365 administrator with the appropriate privileges, regardless of whether the permissions granted are user permissions that could be consented to by Microsoft 365 users. Before we begin granting permissions for individual apps, we need to pre-consent to the permissions used by the Admin Center. To do this, navigate to the Admin Center's Permissions card. Note that we offer a combined consent flow for all the required permissions in the All Features Combined section of the Permissions list. Of course, you can choose to consent to specific permissions by using the individual pre-consent buttons offered in the Individual Features section of the list. Let's go ahead and pre-consent all permissions combined for the Admin Center. You will now most likely be asked to choose a Microsoft account that you want to use to pre-consent the permissions. Ensure you use an administrator account capable of consenting to permissions for your tenant. If you are working with only one Microsoft account, it may automatically select your account, and you might not see the option to select an account. Next, you should see the Microsoft Permissions Requested dialog pop up. This dialog will list all permissions included in the request, allowing you to view each permission in detail by clicking on the chevron in front of each one. Once you are comfortable granting these permissions, go ahead and click on the Accept button at the bottom right of the dialog. Once the permissions have been granted through the permissions granting flow, the Admin Center will automatically reload, and you might have to navigate back manually to where you were in the Admin Center. Now that the Admin Center permissions have been addressed, you can proceed to pre-consent any Office at Work app of your choosing. For instance, let's pre-consent the Template Chooser app. To do this, navigate to the Template Chooser and scroll down to its Permissions card. Click on the Pre-Consent button for the All Permissions Combined entry in the All Features Combined section of the list of permissions. Then, select your account and click on the Accept button to approve the delegated permissions used by the Template Chooser. Repeat this process for all the Office at Work apps you intend to use. For a detailed overview of the permissions required for each Office at Work app, use the Learn More link in the permissions card description for each app. Please also note that you can scope the permissions granted in your Azure tenant. For each Office at Work app, the consent flow creates an Enterprise Application entry in your Azure tenant. You can navigate to this entry and restrict who can use the permissions. Please consult your Azure specialist for assistance with this. Most of our customers do not restrict the Enterprise Application entries, as they prefer to control access to the Office at Work apps by selectively deploying the apps to users and groups requiring the apps.